The 49ers and Raiders just end this preseason game in a tie. And what a final last play that was. That was beautiful. Was that the best Cal versus Stanford recreation I think we've seen? That was wonderful. What a way to end that ball game. The San Francisco 49ers and Raiders tie. Raiders fans everywhere are rejoicing. Oh my gosh, I can feel it already. The Raider fans are going crazy right now for their Super Bowl win. But man, 49ers, good thing that we don't have overtime. That's the good thing with this whole situation. So I'm glad this game's over. And that officially marks the end of preseason for the San Francisco 49ers. Now we get to focus on cut down day and everything in between. Let's talk about this game, react to it, all that good stuff. Smash that like button, drop an SDS in the chat. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. All right. All right. How are we feeling about the San Francisco 40? Oh, dang, what's good? How are we feeling about this performance? San Francisco 49ers, Raiders. Oh, I can't wait till we get some of the Raiders fans trickling in here. Hopefully they make it entertaining for us. But that was a fitting end to the preseason. Glad this dance is over. And we can now focus on the regular season. Now, well, we know there's still things to be done before we can completely focus on the regular season. But let's talk about some of the big takeaways from the game. I think one of the biggest takeaways for this game, right on cue, is the performance from the rookies. This continues to be a phenomenally looking class. I'm so happy that we finally got to see Isaac Guerendo. Guerendo looks like the spitting image, or not necessarily the spitting image, but I just see so much similarities with Guerendo and Raheem Mostert. I was a huge Raheem Mostert guy, probably bigger than most. I thought he was a really important piece to the San Francisco 49ers offensive success, especially in the 2001 year and stuff like that. Obviously, we knew what he did in 2019, but when you watch Guerendo run, I'm just like, dude, this looks like Mostert. It was the first thing that popped to my mind when I started watching Guerendo out of Louisville after we drafted him. And then again, even out here, he runs like Mostert. It's crazy. They have that upright running style. They can really push horizontally, one cut up the field, and they're gone. I really like what he's able to see. And so with Isaac Guerendo, that kickoff return he had almost for a touchdown, what was it, like 93 yards? I think it was the longest kickoff return of the preseason with the new kickoff rule. Before we keep going on Guerendo, can I say that new kickoff rule is electric? I wasn't really sure about it at first, but I'm really starting to come around to it because I think it's a big play factory. Whereas before, kickoff return was so boring and just so I don't know. It was just so boring. With this new kickoff rule, you really see the ability for these guys to create lanes and create some misdirection. And I think the team that figures this like the system out could have a massive advantage in this new kickoff era. So we saw big kickoff returns on both sides. Obviously, the Raiders scored a touchdown. So, I think the kickoff return is going to have more success early on in this process until like the defense figures it out and they start to see what works, what doesn't work. But right now, the new kickoff rule looks pretty electric. But Isaac Guerrero looks phenomenal. Um, you can see what Justin's saying. First Cowing touchdown. Talk about a just beautifully threaded needle from Joshua Dobbs right through the middle of two defenders. Jacob Cowing doing a phenomenal job squaring up his chest towards the ball, making sure he's coming down with it. Jacob Cowing is going to be a player. And not only that, but we got a really freaking good quarterback in Joshua Dobbs. I think Brandon Allen's a good quarterback. And you could probably say Brandon Allen is more experienced in the system, but Joshua Dobbs has a playmaker mentality, and he's good enough with the smaller details of playing quarterback. So I think Dobbs is your quarterback too. I still think they could keep three, but I really do like what I've seen from Joshua Dobbs. But Cowing, great job by him. He's going to be a really quality player for the 49ers. Just hugely. He's a playmaker. You can tell, man. Some guys have ice in their veins. They just go out and every play is the same to them. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. And it's just like when you watch Jacob Cowing play, that's the kind of sense you get. Like, I just remember talking to him about like being a smaller guy and just like the mentality that he's played with. He's like, I've had to learn how to play with extra heart with that dog really early on. So because he was always the smaller guy, and he's like, man, I've always played like that. That's just always been something that's been a part of me. And I think that's why guys like that, even though undersized, when they go to the next level, they just keep having success because they're wired the right way. They're mentally able to handle the challenges and the adversity because of their inner belief in themselves and understanding that every day for them playing football is already a challenge. So what's more than this next challenge? It's just another challenge. So I really like what I've seen from Jacob Cowing. Um, Dominic Pooney, I didn't see anything particularly stand out one way or the other. Obviously, I always say that I reserve my full analysis of the offensive line until I get into the tape. It's just the rules that I live by. I do know, like I've seen a lot of people talk about the backup tackles. Brandon Parker specifically had a rough day in the office. I didn't think Brandon Parker had played particularly well enough to make the team. So that's not much of a surprise for me. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how the O line plays out. I still think it's Hubbard, Burford, Zakel, Jalen Moore. I didn't see a whole lot of Ben Barch today, but I really wasn't super focused on the offensive line. Cody Schrader even looks good at the end of the game. So we're getting some quality returns so far on this rookie class, and I think it's exciting because we haven't had too many positive returns on the draft classes as of late. So it's really nice to get some really early returns. Let's talk about some other players that stood out. I guess let's talk about the starters, shall we? We started this talking about the rookies. Let's talk about the starters that played. Obviously, you had Brock Purdy out there. You started with Jordan Mason. You had Debo Samuel, and you had George Kittle. I would have to say the play of the game had to be that that throw over the middle from Brock Purdy. It was like a 3rd and long, I believe. He was about to get absolutely clobbered, and he just let that thing rip over the middle, reminiscent of the Green Bay Packer game on that pass to Jawan Jennings. Just, dude, I don't know how he does it. We talk about it all the time with Brock. He somehow like works within margins of inches, and he just somehow gets it over the like completely stretched hand of the linebacker. And I mean, phenomenal catch by George Kittle to go up and snag that thing. Um, that was really really freaking nice. Um, there was a couple plays that Purdy had. I really like the one where he was able to kind of bounce out and he kind of sidearm slinged it and threw that one on the run to Chris Conley. I thought that one was really nice. I thought that was solid. Um, it was a little disjointed. It wasn't all that great for the most part. I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. It was kind of weird vibes early on. Um, the big plays definitely helped the energy, but there were some weird vibes. But nonetheless, it sounds like everyone got out of there healthy, which was one of the main things that we were looking for. Obviously, Leonard Floyd, Yetur Gross Matos were the two big scares of the game because they both left the game with a potential injury. I think Leonard Floyd did go to the locker room, but we haven't heard anything yet in regards to updates from Kyle Shanahan or anything like that. From what I've seen, I've kind of been keeping my eye out for that. Um, so hopefully those injuries are just minor, because I think the one thing that it makes you realize really quickly is that the depth behind the defensive ends is really thin. Um, because if let's say you lose two defensive ends in one game, that's a pretty tough spot to be in. So I would imagine the 49ers are going to be on the lookout for another defensive end, kind of similar to what they did with the Randy Gregory trade last year. So defensive end depth continues to be kind of the one of the thin areas of the roster, and just really hoping that doesn't bite us down the road. But early returns on the defensive line of seeing Yetur Gross-Mato rush and seeing uh, Leonard Floyd and Malik Collins looked pretty solid, man. So I thought the defense looked pretty good. Starting defense looked all right. Um, so yeah, starters was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't terrible. I would say it was okay. We had good plays. We had bad plays. Both sides of the ball. So thought it was solid. Okay. No one got hurt. Hopefully, seriously, and we get out of here. We get out of here with no injuries. Let's see. What other players do you guys want to talk about and highlight with this game? Who were guys that stood out to you that you thought played well? That you thought did a solid job out here? Okay, that we just got an update. Oh no, I don't like that though. So Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross Matos have sustained knee sprains. They're not ACL, according to Kyle Shanahan, but both are scheduled for MRIs. Oh, I don't like that. I mean, yes, it's good that it's not an ACL, but I don't love the fact that they still have to go out and get an MRI. Makes me nervous. Hopefully everything will be okay there. But yeah, that makes me a little nervous. So, but at least we cleared any ACL injuries. So, boy, man, if these defensive ends lose any time, shoosh, we gotta call someone, and it's definitely not going to be the Ghostbusters because we're gonna have to figure out what depth like we if I'm trying to gather my thoughts because I'm just like, dang, man, like we already knew the defensive end depth was paper thin heading into this game. And now your top two key contributors, or two out of your three top key contributors, could be down for potentially a prolonged period. We don't know yet. They cleared ACL, but hopefully the MRI is more precautionary than anything else, just to make sure they're not missing anything and they're able to fully clear him, both of them. But that's just one where, again, it really makes you think about how much depth the 49ers have at the position and how crucial depth at that position is. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see 49ers making claims on defensive ends and things like that. So, that's a brutal one. 49ers injury update per Matty Mayoko. All right. All right, let's shift gears. What other players do we want to talk about today? I thought Deebo Samuel's catch against the sideline was sick. I thought that throw was phenomenal. That catch was phenomenal. What did you guys think about the interception on the Brock Purdy's pass intended for Deebo Samuel? What was your read on that? Did you think that was a bad throw? Did you think that was a bad catch? Do you think it was better defense? What are you thinking? Um, Apparently, Kyle Shanahan said that he expects Ricky Pearsall to begin practicing next week, or the hope is that he begins practicing next week. So we are on Ricky Pearsall watch. So if we could get Ricky back, that would be clutch. If we could get Brandon Ayuk back, that would be clutch. What do you guys think about the whole Brandon Ayuk thing with him being on the field, engaging, taking photos? What did you think about that? You think that means that we're close? We're actually close to getting this thing taken care of? Hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm tired of talking about it though. Just as I'm sure you guys are as well. Oh, I didn't even see this. LA Dodger says that last play was a comedy skit. That last play was pretty funny. It was pretty solid. I mean, it was looking like they, if we didn't get that forward pass, they might have had a shot at it. I liked it. It was good. It was good. But I think when I look at all the competitions that I had going into this, I do think Rock Sin might have the edge over Samuel Womack. I think Daryl Luter's raw, but they like what he brings to the table. So I still think the cornerbacks are going to be Ward, Yadam, Lenore, Yasin, Green, and Luter, and Womack will be on the outside looking in. For linebackers, I still feel strong with the ones that I have: Fred Warner, Devondre Campbell, Dean Winters, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, and Jalen Graham. Those are my linebackers. I still think I feel solid with my wide receivers, 6 wide receivers. I thought Ronnie Bell was going to have a really good preseason game to really make them consider it. But unfortunately, Chris Conley's too good right now. And Ronnie Bell definitely just, I feel like, put too much pressure on himself. And as a result of putting too much pressure on himself, he just wasn't making all the plays that he needed to. He had that really, really solid return. But that one issue with the catch, I couldn't even really see what happened. I couldn't tell if he couldn't locate it, or what the issue was. But I do think it's got to be Ayuk, Samuel, Jennings, Conley, Pearsall, and Cowing. And every time that I see this team out here, this offense, I'm just reminded of how much they need Brandon Ayuk. So I think that BA, obviously we're annoyed with the off-field stuff, but if we're what we haven't really talked about all that much is the on-field importance. I think if we take away all the off-field noise, you can feel Brandon Ayuk's presence is missed out there. Um, his ability to separate and the rapport that him and Brock Purdy have together, you need that. You need that on this offense. Obviously, Brock Purdy can show you he can make the tight window throws. He can put it on guys if there's not much separation. But when you watch, and what we've come accustomed to with Brandon Ayuk is he's a separator. He can create separation from the DB, which creates yak, and that's a guy that you just got to have out there. You got to have Ayuk or equivalent. You just have to have that true X wide receiver in this offense, and I really think that would help just with everything else. Um, so far, I would say the rookies have all, for the most part, have looked better than we've expected. Even when we've expect some of the rookies to be good, I still think they've all they've just really made their presence felt, and I thought they've done a pretty solid job. Um, so yeah, I'm really impressed so far with this rookie class. The fact that we've gotten a day one starter out of it for sure. Um, and I like this comment. Without a dominant X wide receiver, the defense will not honor it. They will not shade a safety. They will crowd the box, jump the underneath routes, and stuff the running lanes. Yes. Yes. It would be like having Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback, because having Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback was like not having a dominant X wide receiver, because he wouldn't push the ball past 15 yards. So the defenses would dare him to throw uh, to that wide receiver, and he wouldn't. So that's exactly what it would be like. It would be like we'd be going back to like a Jimmy esque type offense where they just tried to operate um, in the short to intermediate range. Obviously, you would still take your shots wherever you could. They just wouldn't be as abundant as we've come to expect. Um, you'd have to be more creative in your scheming to get guys open. Um, it definitely would be a challenge without him. So hopefully that gets figured out. But let's see any other guys that stood out. Who did they get the forced fumble to? Did they give that to Demetrius or did they give that to Tig? But that was a nice play to get the ball on the ground. I like seeing that. I like seeing that for sure. Um, they're providing the definition of Ricky Pearsall's injury right now. This is from Matt Barrows. He says Kyle Shanahan said Ricky Pearsall's shoulder is a sublexed shoulder, which occurs when the ball of the shoulder joint moves either completely or partially out of the socket. He said Pearsall had a similar issue as a college junior and that the team is giving it time to heal. Interesting. That's probably in response to what we heard earlier today about his shoulder. So, did Latu do enough tonight? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know, but the problem with Latu is do you think someone else will claim him? That's the problem. That's because I don't think they want to lose Latu. They don't want to lose that investment. Um, but I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready. I think the lights are too bright right now. I think he just unfortunate that's the thing that sucks about the NFL is you don't have a ton of time. Especially when you're a guy who takes up a 53-man roster spot and you can't hang out on there's a potential that you won't hang out on the practice squad. So yeah, man, it's a tough situation. Tough situation. Tony says, I think Zakel could start at center. I think they're toying with the idea. I think they're messing with it. I think they're really trying to see if Zakel could hold up. So far, from what I've seen, Zakel looks like a better pass protector. He does show ability in the run game, just struggles with some power. But I do think that Nick Zakel could definitely be someone. Could be someone that they'll think about. I don't think it'll be right away. I think it'll be someone that they'll think about and might just let potentially injuries kind of play a role in that situation. So, but I think for the most part, everything that we talked about and have talked about with the roster, I think has come true. So I think there's only a couple battles. The majority of the roster has been figured out. There's probably like maybe 5 or 6 spots that they're competing for right now. Like there's really not that many spots. And there's only a handful of guys competing for those spots. So I think we know for the most part of what we're gonna get from that. We'll see what I would imagine there'll be a couple surprises. But I think we do know. I think we do know what it's going to be. So not bad. Not bad at all. But I am excited that preseason is over. I mean, next week is going to be a critical week for all the off-field drama stuff. So hopefully that is figured out sooner rather than later. But you never know. You never know with this team. So we shall see. Appreciate everyone tapping in. I know it's a late night stream. It's 5:45. It's 10:45 on the West Coast. If you are anywhere beyond the West Coast, congratulations to you because you are a diehard for staying up that late. Appreciate everyone for tapping in. I'm out of here for now. I'm gonna be at a wedding tomorrow, so I pray that no news breaks tomorrow. But knowing me, it will. So good for everyone else. But we'll see how it goes. I'm out of here. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.